taking over. Let's go. It's Pharrell. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Pharrell, coast to coast. It's Pharrell on the bench, coast to coast in the biggest way possible. Hanging out. The bad seed, the broken, the bad apple with a bad attitude. We are live in New York City. The Big Apple. Ooh. People dressed in plastic bags, directing traffic, some kind of fashion shake-it-up, along with the Tutty and Tater King, the master of ceremonies, the sheet of integrity rights holder. It's Carver High today, ladies. Mafia running it with Guy Milpala. The rundown on a terrible towel Tuesday, a double shot with Morency in this very hour, along with the esteemed scribe Mike DeCourcy of the Sporting News, Fox Sports, and the Big Ten Network. And then later, Coach James Rack Young going straight to the 10, Jerome, our Sports Grid basketball analyst. Carver High, I have the Gucci's on today. And you know it's always an important day when the Gucci's are on. I'm ready to roll, and we've got a lot to do today. And the late pick six hizzy cover for the Broncos cashes another ticket for Uncle Futrelli.
Imagine betting on a team where the guy throws for 497 yards and 4 touchdowns, and you don't cover. That's tough. That's a tough one to swallow last night with the Browns, as Jameis Winston giveth and Jameis Winston took away from us very late in that game. And then I thought he was even going to come with, like, the super backdoor, right? Like, they had that ball down a score when he threw the pick six. And then they were marching. They got across the 50. I thought we were going to get the super backdoor Jameis cover. And then he threw that third pick in the end zone. It was just, you got to be kidding me here. But honestly, these are the games I talk about sometimes. I want games like this in prime time on Mondays and Thursday nights. Sunday. Give me 41-32 games every day of the week. Tons of scoring, up and down the field, 500 yards passing, 1,000 yards in total offense. I thought it was a lot of fun watching the game, even though both teams, I guess we can't say the Broncos suck, right? They're 8-5 now. So we can say the Broncos suck. It's not two teams that suck.
Well, I mean, I don't think they suck. They're 8-5. I think he's done a great job. Really, when you think about it, last year, they weren't that bad as he was screaming and yelling at Russell Wilson, as were other players on that team screaming and yelling at Russell Wilson. But the fact of the matter is, I thought they were decent last year, and then he is obviously back to winning again this year. Right now, they're the 7. Right now, they're in the playoffs. They got a good defense. I think they got a good quarterback. You can't say Bo Nix is bad. So what don't they have? I mean, they haven't been in the playoffs since 2015, so when they were in the Super Bowl. So to get back in 2 years under Sean Payton, I would say he's fulfilled his obligation rather steadfastly. I mean, let's face facts. He's getting it done.
He absolutely is getting it done, and the Broncos head into their bye, like you mentioned, in that last spot in the AFC right now with a cushy 8-5 record. We will start to look at Week 14. The page turns very quickly. Packers and Lions on Thursday night. Another good game, a good division game that we're going to have between those two. Other games this week, of course, Browns will play the Steelers. They're going to get healthier. That we will discuss. Chiefs-Chargers on Sunday night. Can Harbaugh beat the Chiefs for us here and give him a second loss on Sunday night at Arrowhead? God, I hope so. That would be great if he could do that. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'm not feeling that at this point. If you were to tell me that game was at SoFi in Lipstick City, I would think that they'd have a shot, but that's a tough place to play anytime, particularly in prime time. And I know the Chargers have played well against them, but they always find a way. Now, I could see them covering. I don't see them winning. To be honest, I really don't. But they are tough.
Well, we can dream. And the Chiefs do come down to one of these weeks, all these crazy finishes at the Chiefs. They're going to go on the other side of it, right?
It's going to be
At
in
some
the
point.
divisional semi against the Bills.
You know what? I'll save it for that.
I don't care about the rest of
I'll save it for
weeks
that.
of meaninglessness. I don't care about the regular season is absolutely the biggest waste of time ever. This league is predicated on postseason play, and that's all that matters. Like,
yep.
This guy has won 3 Super Bowls. He's won 2 in a row. This guy, Andy Reid's knuckles are getting even fatter with rings. And they don't, who cares what they do in a regular season? They're a postseason juggernaut, and the Bills have to beat them. And if it's the Steelers, so be it. The Steelers play on Christmas Day. Also meaningless. It's meaningless. Who cares what they do from now until the week after? The week of January 6th is the wild card week. And then they will not be playing a wild card game. So the following weekend, on Saturday or Sunday, they'll play a divisional semi at home, as sure as I'm sitting here, and somebody needs to mother Pharrell and beat them with all their one-score wins and all their luck and all their bounces and all their celebrities and all their bullshit. I'm sick of it. That's when it ends. Nothing else matters. Metallica.
Nothing else does matter. We have a new college football playoff ranking that will be released tonight.
Ooh.
Of course, there's been a lot of discussion about that. We are assuming we, of course, will see Indiana in there later this evening. But people are really banging the drum hard, including the books. For Alabama now, I'm seeing them at minus 200 to make the playoffs. So people are thinking that Alabama is going to find their way in the back door by Sunday when the final rankings are released.
Of course
and the tree is set up.
But listen, I saw today my dear friend Matt Peralt has been obviously having the lingering effects of health issues. So, I had the heart surgery. He had a little mini stroke, and these things happen, and then bad things come to the surface, like bad ideas, bad intentions, bad choices, all kinds of bad things happen. And I hear this guy today. You saw I interjected in the middle of that. Can't have it. This guy's saying Indiana stinks. They shouldn't be in the playoff. How sadly mistaken you are. You're going to be wrong on that one, brother. I mean, that one's going to be a done deal. They're going to be in that playoff as sure as I'm sitting here. And, he says Miami sucks too. Now, I've been willing to say they don't deserve to be in, but they clearly don't suck with that offense and that quarterback. So I think, I recommend, as you know, Carver High, drinking a lot of rum or tequila. And even if you're soft, you might have a few glasses of wine. If you're having problems making decisions like this, he's obviously having the lingering effects of health issues. So it's time, I think, at some level, we need to have the consigliere drive over there with a bottle and pour him a few glasses so he can come back to his senses. I'm very worried about him, my friend.
I did see that clip this morning after you commented on it, and yes, I think they'll be in. I mean, look, what do you want to do? Put 6 SEC teams in? Just make it the SEC championship. Then we'll do a tournament for the SEC title. Why not?
That is the hot take griddle with no heat on. There's no they wonder why the pancakes aren't cooking. It's because you forgot to turn the grill on for the hot takes. Gotta
turn the griddle on sometimes.
Can I add? Yesterday I went on a long diatribe about I never listen to sports radio, which is true.
Yes.
I did fail to mention that the only 2 shows I've ever listened to on the radio were Neil Rogers, the greatest show ever, and the dirtiest show ever. And he got away with murder, and he was #1 for 20 years, every single book. And then, of course, Howard Stern, back in his mean days. I didn't listen to it most of the time I was at Howard Stern for 10 years. I listened to it prior to that in New York when he was having funerals for people in the streets. That was when it was dirty and mean and fun and kick-ass. I listened to that show. Both of those shows are not sports shows. I've never listened to another radio show in my life.
Lots of NBA Cup games tonight as well. Lots of knockout games for that. So we have all that too.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on Sports Grid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you. Pinching your own cheek? Because I was looking down and did not know we were getting...
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on Sports Grid.
Together, both Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on Sports Grid.
You can catch Sports Rage weeknights at 10 East along all of our outlets. And you can catch Morency on Sunday Night Football, which is kick-ass on Sports Grid, I might add. But even more importantly, a double shot every day with us on Coast to Coast from Vancouver is just the way it ought to be in life. Morency styling today as usual. We were talking about earlier the fact that, I don't care about, the Chiefs' luck's going to run out one of these days in these upcoming days, in these upcoming scheduled games that they have. I don't give a rat's ass about even Christmas Day against the Steelers because it's meaningless. All that matters is week 2 of the divisional semis that's when it hits, that they lose at Arrowhead in one of their one-score games. And then if it's not then, it's the next week in the AFC Championship game. I need it to end one of those 2 weekends. Otherwise, we're going to have to go down and eat fish and talk about them again for a 3rd straight year. And that makes me sick to my stomach.
Yeah, I agree with you, Scott. I think the people that are assuming that the demise of the Kansas City Chiefs has begun for real because they're winning closely are delusional. You could also make the argument that they're beat up, banged up, that they've had a million injuries, and they're still winning football games. And they're going to dial it up a notch. There's a different level, right? There's a different level in the playoffs, specifically at the coaching position. And, Andy Reid's going to dial it up. Spagnuolo's going to dial it up in a 60-game setting. So they're like the Wicked Witch of the West, Scott. And I know this new Wicked movie is a smash success, but that's who the Kansas City Chiefs are. They're the Wicked Witch of the West. And until you finish them off and they're gone, they're not gone. Like, they're not done. This doesn't matter. But it does matter, Scott, that you try to knock them off the perch at least, that they don't have home field. I don't think anybody, like even if I was the Buffalo Bills, I'm not going to feel good about going into Arrowhead in a conference championship game. You've got to at least get them on the road and give yourselves a better chance. But I'm with you, Scott. Until they're beat, bro. I mean, no one thinks they're ever going to win, Scott. And even in the past years, they're not very good. They're not going to win. They're this and that. And they find ways, in the playoffs. So I'm with you. The Chiefs are still the team to beat. Let's not kid ourselves. You got the Chiefs, you got the Bills, you got the Steelers. Ravens starting to fade a little bit. I don't think the Chargers will be a fun team to play in the playoffs, Scott, but let's not kid ourselves, guys. The Kansas City Chiefs are the team to beat in the National Football League still. This isn't college football where we're judging like style points, guys. It's different. This is pro football. The Chiefs are the team to beat. I agree with you.
And then, look, those are, Denver would be a playoff team right now. Houston is going to be a playoff team. Baltimore, and then the three Kings, which are Kansas City, Buffalo, and Pittsburgh. Of all those teams, you watched, Denver last night, Bo Nix, that defense, Surtain. My guess would be they would not have a home game, but they would have to go on the road. Do you consider the Chargers and Broncos and Ravens? Now, I've already seen the Ravens live. The Steelers beat them. I went to the game. All they do is lose big games lately, if you haven't noticed. So of all those teams, who's got the best shot of surviving with Kansas City, Buffalo, and Pittsburgh? None of them. I say none of them.
No, you know what the thing is, Scott? I don't want to sound cliche, but I think you would agree with this. In the modern NFL, anybody can kind of beat anybody. So when you're talking about like the Broncos, the Chargers, the Texans of the world, although I don't think much of the Texans this year. Like it wouldn't shock me if they won a playoff game, right? I mean, they can win a wild card game, but I don't see the Broncos being able to string together 3 games, as you stated. As it is now, Scott, the Broncos, if it held true, if the Chiefs hung on to the top seed and the Bills hung on to the second seed, it would be Denver at Buffalo. It would be Denver at Buffalo in the playoffs. I'm not going to dismiss them, but I think the Buffalo Bills would win. But I don't think the Chargers or the Broncos or the Texans have 3 games in them, Scott. You know what I mean? Where they're going to get that hot, where it's like, all right, look, we won this game, we won that game, now we're going to go on the road and win the conference championship game. I don't see that happening, but I think they're legitimately dangerous. And, if you ask me, Scott, you get into a 60-minute setting, the Broncos are a load, bro, and so are the Chargers. To me, because of the coaching. Coaching matters in the playoffs, guys. You have a week to prepare for these games, and coaches can really come up with some stuff. And we see the difference of great coaching in past years in the playoffs. Sean Payton's won a Super Bowl before. Sean Payton's coached in big playoff games before. So you give him a week to prepare for a team, he's going to come up with some kinks and some tweaks. And similar with Harbaugh. Harbaugh's been in the Super Bowl. Harbaugh's won a national championship. You get into a 60-minute game with Harbaugh, he's just going to want to bleed that clock and shorten the game. So I don't think they're going to be a lot of fun to play, Scott. And in fact, let's keep it on this theme. I think the Chargers, we're going to find out a hell of a lot this Sunday night about both teams. I think the Chargers can go into Kansas City and actually beat them. In past years, guys, even with that clown Staley as their coach, they used to hang around. The Chargers have always competed with the Kansas City Chiefs. And now you got Harbaugh rolling in here. They can run the ball. Obviously, they got injuries right now with Dobbins, but L.A. played good defense, got smash-mouth Big Ten-style football team. That's going to be a close game. I like the Chargers plus the points, and let's see if the Chargers can knock them off.
What is a number right now going into that game? 3.5.
KC are favored by 3.5 on their home field. Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, I mean, that number's scary, but I feel a lot better about them if they played them at SoFi than at Arrowhead in prime time, the way they win games in that stadium, and particularly, in prime time. And look, I'll give you this. I think Herbert is actually, believe it or not, I think he's playing better, and I know this sounds crazy, than the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. Why is it that Lamar Jackson gets all this juice? Meanwhile, they're not winning.
Well, Herbert is it's almost J.J. McCarthy-ish, actually, to be honest with you. People criticize J.J., he only threw the ball 17 times. He doesn't throw 52 times. Yeah, he wins. And Harbaugh told Herbert, you used to throw the ball 38 times a game and put up big numbers. How's that working out for you? He goes, trust me on this. We'll throw when we throw, and we'll run when we run. And trust me, and it's working out for me.
Need help with your NFL picks? Get NFL insider knowledge from Pro Football Doc, Dr. David Chow, with Sick Picks at Sports Injury Central. We reveal hidden injury advantages the sports books miss. Our doctors provide insights, and our algorithm tells you who to bet on. Spreads, player props, totals, in-game bets, Sick Picks covers it all. Get a free week now with promo code SPORTSGRID at SickScore.com.
He's blocked well and Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on Sports Grid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Morency, I think there's two legitimate games tonight. One of them is Michigan and Wisconsin at the Cole in Madtown. Wisconsin's laying 3. It's on Peacock at 9. And then I think the other good game, believe it or not, is at Littlejohn with Kentucky, ranked 4th, going to play 7-1 Clemson at Clemson. Clemson's getting 1. It's on ESPN at 9:30. Those are two juicy college basketball games. Who do you like?
I'm going to go with Kentucky. I think they're just a little bit more battle tested. We've seen them already play against elite competition in different venues. I like what Clemson does. I think they're a good team, but they're not a great team. I was a little bit surprised that this wasn't like 3, Scott. Even on the road, this one did catch my eye. So I'll take the Kentucky Wildcats. And you know, it's funny. Calipari left, and everybody, oh my God, they were spinning their wheels, bro, with Calipari. It wasn't going anywhere. Right? They needed an infusion here, and I think Pope is actually the perfect guy. He played there, did a great job at BYU. Players really like him. Like they respond to him, and now I think Kentucky guys will be more about winning an NCAA tournament. Calipari got into a mode of, you know what? I make kids rich. I'm doing a great job. I'm a great person. I'm taking these teenagers and turning them into multimillionaires. They're all having successful careers and lives in the NBA. And people in Lexington were like, good for you and good for them. What does that do for us? Where's our banners? Where's our Final Four appeal? Where's our championships? Yeah. We don't care you're sending players to. That's almost like Ohio State. Yeah, you got 22 blue chips. You got 15 guys in the NFL draft every year. I don't see one Big Ten banner Ryan Day here, right? And I was sort of the same thing in Kentucky. Pope lives and bleeds this stuff, right? He loves Kentucky. It'll be about winning. Not about, oh, you know what, we got to get this kid and he's a first-round draft pick. It'll be about winning basketball games. So I like Kentucky. And speaking of winning, Scott, hey, Dustin May doing a great job, coming over from Florida Atlantic to Ann Arbor. We knew that he would, but it's really coming together quickly. They really threw this thing together, guys. They got a couple of Michigan guys that stayed. They got the kid Danny Wolf from Yale. Looks like Larry Bird. He does. You seen this guy?
I know who you're talking about. That's funny.
Yeah, he really does, though. Like, because they're always a white guy. No. He really looks like Larry Bird. He's got the same goofy face and hair. And, like, I swear to God, like, if Larry Bird was born now, I'm not saying he's Larry Bird as a player, but if he was born now, he'd be like, damn, man, this is Larry Bird's son. Yeah, Danny Wolf. Danny Wolf, white guy from Yale. Yeah, he can shoot, too. He scores about 14 a game. But fun. Listen, they threw all these guys together. And May's doing a great job. I'm telling you, I think Michigan are going to win a championship in a couple of years, guys. May's going to get us there. So tonight, though, this Wisconsin, this ain't our granddad and this ain't our old school Ryan Wisconsin Badger basketball team, guys. They used to score 50 points in a game. Now they score 50 points and a half. I really like the over this game, Scott. I was surprised to see how light it is. It's a challenge for Michigan. Michigan only lost one game this year, guys. They lost to Wake Forest at Wake, and they lost by 2. It was a close one, competitive one. Meanwhile, Wisconsin are undefeated, and Wisconsin are putting some points up on the board. So I really do think this game is going to go over 150 points tonight. As far as, listen, I'd like to tell you that Michigan is the play, but you know how hard it is to win in that building, Scott. So I'm going to go with the over tonight.
Yeah, I don't think they, win in the Cole. I think that it's brutal, as you know, to win on the road in the Big Ten in conference games, no matter who you're playing or where you're playing. It is the most unbelievable
You're right.
thing.
Every building's tough. Even Northwestern's hard in basketball to win. Like, football is different. Like, basketball's not any gym. Go into Penn State. You're not going to have a fun time. It's not easy.
I mean, I used to go, when I was with Indiana, for 5 years, I went to every game, and you just don't win on the road in the Big Ten. It's just the most unbelievably frustrating thing. It's automatic.
Right. Go to East Lansing and play. Go play them in East Lansing. That's a lot of fun there. Go to Lafayette. Go to Purdue. You think Purdue's easy? Go to Indiana. Go to Ann Arbor to play. Like, it's not like football, guys. The Big Ten, you're right, Scott. Illinois. That building's impossible to win in. They're nuts.
It's impossible. It is impossible.
It's really hard to win on the road in the Big Ten.
What do you expect from the playoff committee?
Oh, I'm expecting people to get upset that Alabama are going to get into the playoffs.
So, but, I mean, Sunday's all that matters. Tonight's kind of a prelude to a kiss.
Yeah, exactly. So, but listen, the SEC's getting 4 teams in. I think that's the bottom line. But like you said, Scott, let's let this thing play out. We got the games to play here still, and let's just accept it. I think there's going to be the fourth SEC team that squeezes in the back door.
Oh, God. All right, catch Morency tonight at 10. Gabe, great stuff. Thanks, buddy.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on Sports Grid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you pinching your own cheek as I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on Sports Grid.
Together, both Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the 2 big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on Sports Grid.
it's always my favorite part of the week when I got Mike DeCourcy on, the legendary writer from the Sporting News. He's also on The Take for the Big Ten on Fox Sports and the Big Ten Network. And I just will say this. I don't really want to talk about it because it makes me angry. But I watched Indiana play in the Bahamas, and I thought they were soft as a cinnamon roll. They don't rebound. They can't shoot. They don't hustle. And I mean to tell you, like, Louisville beat their ass. Gonzaga beat their ass. I mean, they barely beat Providence. I was thoroughly unimpressed with the Indiana basketball. Thank God their football team's going to be in the playoff. So it's a fallout from rivalry week in college football. And there were fights galore, Mike, all over the country in these big games as these kids lost their minds after the games were over and players were trying to plant flags and do devious things. And then the fists were flying, and then cops were pepper spraying coaches and players. Like, what is happening to the world we live in, Mike?
Scott, I will say this about what happened in those games. If you're Michigan and you're coming in at 6-5 and you're playing a Ohio State team that is literally 2 points from being undefeated and playing at home and played this whole season to get to this day, and you take that afternoon from them, you beat them on the field of play, there's nothing else to be done beyond that. Planting a flag, what is that? I compare it to winning an Oscar and then joining the cast of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I mean, you've already done the best thing you can do in performing, and now you're going to do this junk.
I mean, honestly, it really is. So what do you think? Like I said earlier, I don't remember what the game was. Mafia might remember, but there was a college basketball game this year already where the students stormed the floor and they beat a team that was ranked 13th. And I was like, you got to storm the floor when you win a top 5 game. You shouldn't be allowed to storm the floor when you beat a 13th ranked team because, first of all, the polls don't matter unless you're in the top 5. And basically, then you're one of the powers of college sports. When you're 13th or 18th or 25th, you don't matter.
There's a sliding scale on that. If you're DePaul and you beat anybody that can bounce a basketball, and you haven't done that in like 20 years, I'd say if you're DePaul and you want to.
Do you remember McGuire? Do you remember when McGuire played there? The teams that they had there when the old man was coaching there, not his son Joey, but when the old man was coaching there. When you and I were young, Mike, DePaul was great in basketball. They always went on a run in the tournament and lost. They could never get over the hump, but they were always a power.
They were. They did get to the Final Four in '79. It's just everybody forgets that because Magic and Bird were there. Right. But it had been a power. And even Joey had some great years before things petered out a little bit at the end of his career. Great man, Joey Meyer. We just lost him not long ago. But it has been really fallow for a long period of time. And Chris Holtmann has it going now. So if they want to storm the floor, if they beat somebody good in the Big East,
go for it. It was A&M was 13th, and they lost, and the kids stormed the floor. I thought it was embarrassing. I have to tell you, though, Mike, you got to admit that the Arizona State mascot did land a haymaker on the Arizona mascot. That was quite a punch. That had nothing to do with players either. I really don't have a problem if it's the mascots.
I spent as much time on that as I did the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight, Scott. I didn't see any of it.
I didn't watch that either, Mike. You and I are on the same page. I call that a highlight sports event. Like most UFC cards, they have one every weekend. All I need to do is see the highlights to bullshack my way through MMA news on this show. I don't care. What do you think of the Steelers and their performance in the jungle and what Wilson has meant to them in that big day he had, 414 and 3 tutties? They look like a complete football team to me. For my money, it's the Bills and Steelers that are the ones that have a shot at the Chiefs.
But exactly. I think they played terrifically. I think their performance on defense is being underrated, Scott. You go into that game against the best offense in the NFL right now. The Bengals are so dangerous with the football in their hands, and you give up a pick six, so that's 7 of the points. And then you're up at one point At one point, 44-21, I think it was.
Yeah,
you give up a couple of late touchdowns that the Steelers clearly were playing for. I mean, they basically said, you go ahead and score. Just don't score too fast. And they probably let him score a little bit more quickly than they wanted to. But in the end, it was exactly the game the Steelers wanted to play. And because the yardage was big and the point total was big, people are looking at that as a struggle from the defense. They created 3 turnovers and scored on one of them, Scott. It was a defensive masterclass against the best offense in the league. I think it's just a continuation of what the Steelers have done on that side of the ball, not an interruption.
So UCF was the team that beat A&M. And then, so here's the deal, Mike. I'm going to the Bengals game, which is January 5th. It's their last home game. I'm going with my son. I'm going to fly in and see the last game. I tried to pull off the Christmas Day Chiefs game, and my wife, 34C, said she'd sleep with all of my friends while I was gone if I missed Christmas Day at the house. So then today, the Steelers gave me my last chance to buy playoff tickets email. So I opened it up, and I was going through the motions to pay for it and do it. I always do it. But this year when I got the email the first time around, it was like, just tons of money. And then it's, I'm like, they never play a home game. They always end up on the road and they lose. So I'm not falling for this. Then they win all these games. Now they're going to play at home. So I'm buying the game the following week. So I'm going to go the 5th, and then they would play in the divisional semi at home. As it stands now, they're getting a home game. And if they somehow win that, and let's say, I think they'll only play one home game. I don't know about you, but I'm going to go back-to-back weeks in the freezing cold of Pittsburgh, January 5th, and then January 12th, whatever it is. I'm going to be freezing cold, boots, long johns, winter jackets, gloves, whiskey, the whole deal, Mike.
Sounds great. Absolutely. Hopefully that it works out like that's the schedule plays out like that. And they get a chance to play at home. Remember, this was also the week when the Steelers got to 9 wins, which means no losing seasons under Mike Tomlin, no losing seasons since 2003. Scott, New York Jets have had 9 consecutive losing seasons. The Steelers haven't had one since 21 years. The Steelers non-losing streak is now old enough to drink. It's 21 years. And people around Pittsburgh think that's not a big deal. You live that long and never have to go through a losing season. It's amazing. It's vastly underrated, especially by the louder portions of the fan base, but not by everybody.
How does Michigan do tonight at the Cole, and how does Kentucky do at Little John? And you said in an article over the holidays that the Kansas Center is dirty.
I did say that. I said he made a dirty play and that he has made too many. He's made too many consistently out of bounds plays, and Kansas will not get to where they want to go if this doesn't get curtailed. It's time for him to grow up and play basketball and stop play acting as a villain, Hunter Dickinson. He's better than that. I think Michigan has a great to really pressure Wisconsin, even though it's at Wisconsin. I think they're going to do well there. And this is going to be the first time Kentucky's really been guarded. I think they have too much offense for Clemson, but Clemson's an excellent defensive team. They're going to make it hard. It's one of the fascinating games of the night.
Yeah, I'm going to take a stab with them. Little John, they're 7-1. They're playing at home. It's going to be raucous. And you already know, Mike, that teams don't win on the road in the Big Ten. You're going to have to eat that hoagie the next time I see you. Great stuff as always, Mike. Have a great week.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on Sports Grid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you pinching your own cheek as I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on Sports Grid.
Together, both Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on Sports Grid.
All right, Mike, let's go back to the game in the Mile High City last night and see how it played out. Obviously, that defense that I had predicated was so tough going into the game against Winston. That was why I bet on Denver. They came up big with 2 pick six hizzies, another pick, as you mentioned, in the end zone. And I think that's why they won the game. I think they won with defense. I didn't think Bo Nix was particularly effective last night. He got it done. What do you have, like 250 and a couple of TDs, something like that? But he had 2 picks, unless I'm tripping. So, their defense won the game for him.
It did, despite the fact that Winston threw for almost 500 yards and that Jerry Jeudy went off against his former team. The Bronco defense did make huge plays when it mattered, including in the final minute of the game. Go up 34-32, back and forth. Here comes Jameis Winston and the Browns. Unfortunately for him, and for them, did not finish well on Westwood One Sports.
Ford is the back in the shotgun. 42 at Cleveland. The Browns quarterback, Jameis Winston, looks into the nickel. Empties the backfield. 1st and 10 is on 42. The shotgun snap, the short drop, the quick throw far side. It's intercepted. Denver's intercepted in McMillan 40. Sideline 30. Down the sideline 20. 10. 5, touchdown! It's a pick six! It's a Bronco pick six!
I mean, how many times is he going to tell me? I love Kevin Harlan, but Christ. All right, so there you have it. That is all I know about cashing a ticket right there. I mean, that play right there. So I had passed out, right, as usual, in my formative years. I passed out in, like, the third quarter. But I woke up when I heard that pick. I was like, I looked up and I saw this guy racing down the sideline, and then I went, cover, and that's all I know. I heard that pick. I could tell something was crazy going on the TV. I had it on in the room, but I snapped out of it to watch the end.
And speaking of ringing the bell, we did get Jeudy 2 Monday nights in a row. We got the revenge touchdown with a guy playing his former team. Jeudy had 235 on 9 grabs. Like we said, Winston 497 and 4 tutties, but 3 picks. 2 of them went back to the house. Here's Jameis. I mean, just please, why do you got to do this to me?
I am a better player, but in times like this, it's an opportunity to continue to glorify the Lord even through the toughest circumstances. I know I'm better than this. I know I'm just praying for the Lord to deliver me from pick sixes. Like that's not me. Like a phenomenal game, offense, do some great things, but I messed it up.
Look,
Lord
it's
is
the
gonna
Jameis.
deliver
That
him
is,
from pick sixes.
you got the full ride last night, right? Like, that's been this dude's career in the NFL. Like, he can play, but he's gonna give it to the other team, and sometimes he's gonna let him take it back to the house. I mean, that is Winston in a nutshell, and it caught up with him again
Do you
last
think
night.
that, like, seriously, that Jesus is up there? You know, he's got like a drawing board. He's got like, you know, like he's got pieces on it, like a war, like in Game of Thrones, and he's moving stuff around. He's like, here's what I'll do. I'm gonna take these pick sixes off of here for famous Jameis, and I'm just gonna have him only throw tutties, and then you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make Mahomes throw 3 picks, 2 pick six hizzies in a game against the Bills in the AFC title game. We can move that over here. You think Jesus is actually up there with a drawing board deciding which players he's going to shaft and those that he's going to aid in the NFL games? Like, I mean, you know, he's a busy guy, this guy up in, you know, flying around up there, up in that place nobody can find when they're in those airplanes. I've never seen it once. I can't wait to see it. It's supposed to be incredible. My mom and dad are up there drinking. All I know is I've never believed that guy's up there screwing some teams and helping others. I've always loved hearing guys, we won this game because of the Lord. And the other guy's like, I cannot believe that the Lord would do this to me after all the time I have spent giving and praying. I mean, this guy just shafts me left and right. This guy, famous Jameis, with his religion talk. Are you kidding me? These guys are nuts. I mean, come on.
They
Watch
are nuts,
George Carlin.
but yeah, it doesn't matter. For Denver, they are now 8-5. They go into their bye. They will have, no matter what happens this week, a 2-game lead on the final wild card spot from the rest of the AFC. Here is Sean Payton afterwards. It wasn't pretty, but we found a way.
When we go back and look at that tape, we're going to look at a lot of things defensively that we would have done differently. We have to. And yet, you know, we had 2 interceptions for touchdowns, a 3rd interception. I told him in the locker room, you know, look at it wasn't pretty. And yet, in the end, you know, we did what we had to do, especially late.
They got it done. They won. I don't literally want to hear it. Like, these guys that break down, you know, it was awful. It was ugly. We didn't play well. We're going to have to look at the film and everything. You know, I think players respond to, you know, frankly, Mike Ditka, like, either win or suffer the consequences. I mean, watching film and all these meetings and everything else, win the effing game. Go out and win. I don't care how it looks. I don't care if there were 5 turnovers. I don't care if it's snowing. Win the effing game. That's it. That's all that matters. I don't want to hear about, we didn't do this right. We didn't do that right. We got so much to clean up. I've been hearing teams talk about cleaning up like they were Mr. Clean. Like, clean this up, clean that up. No one cleans anything up. You either win or you lose in the NFL. That's it. And you are judged not by the highest power on above us. You are judged by wins and losses. And you are who you are. San Francisco, take a look at your record. That's exactly who you are.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on Sports Grid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations. The way you coach this football team, I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you pinching your own cheek as I was
that's what your
looking down
grandma
and did
does,
not
right?
know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on Sports Grid.
Together, both Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on Sports Grid.
All right, Carver High. So we've gotten through all of that Monday night. Now we're looking at playoff matchups, basically heading into this week.
Yeah, I figured let's do this first, and we'll close the book on Week 13 before we start to look at some of these games that are going to come up this week. And, of course, this is what the playoff picture would look like after 13 weeks and how we're going in. The Chiefs and the Lions would have the byes. You would have Bills, Broncos, Steelers, Ravens. I mean, you got to be kidding me. Another Steeler-Raven game. Texans, Chargers on the AFC side. The Kirk Cousins Bowl, which is actually happening this week, would happen in the first round if the season ended today. Falcons and Vikings, Seahawks, Packers, and Eagles, Washington would be the matchups if the season ended today, which, of course, it doesn't. But those would be the matchups.
So Falcons, Vikings, and the winner of that game would play who?
Well, all of that is they reseed each round. So the Lions would play whoever would be the lowest seed, and then it would work out from there. So it's not kind of done with the bracket like in some of the other sports.
I think
so
the
it just be whoever's
Steelers.
the lowest.
Obviously, I'll be honest. I don't want to play the Ravens 3 times and beat them at home and then go there and lose to them here in a few weeks, and then play them again in Pittsburgh. In the playoff game is, dangerous business. That's a very dangerous game for both parties. I think it's, honestly, I'd rather play just about anybody else than now. I don't want to play the Bills or the Chiefs that early. So I got to be honest. Right now, so the Chargers, I'll be honest, I don't want to play that guy, Herbert, and that defense. Who are they playing? The Texans? They're going to beat the Texans. They're going to beat the Texans because they can throw it, run it, and stop it. They do all of the above very well. You talk about, Tomlin always talking about all the schematics and all the different phases of football. If you can run it, throw it, and stop it, that's it. I mean, you can add special teams. If you got a kicker like Boswell, who is great, and then you got a kicker like Tucker, who's now obviously needed a shrink. This guy misses 2 field goals a week now. He's gone from the greatest ever to he doesn't matter anymore, and he's losing it. He's losing his mind. You know why he's losing his mind? Because if you notice, he's kicking it one way, then he kicks it the other way, and then he kicks it the other way. He's trying to fix it in the middle of games, and he used to kick it right down the middle. Now he's deciding which way he's going to kick it, right or left. He's scared to death to kick it now. And I think it's actually fun watching him melt down, to be honest with you. But I'd rather have Boswell than him in a playoff game with a 55-yarder with 1 second left in the game. Who'd you rather have now? Tucker, who can't kick anymore, or Boswell, who kicks, 6 in one game? I mean, honestly.
I'll take Boswell right now. Give me Boswell any day of the week. Odds to win the AFC after 13 weeks. First time we could say this all year. It's actually not the Chiefs as the favorite. The Bills at plus 200, Chiefs at plus 225, the Ravens plus 425, and then the Steelers. You're still getting 10-1 for the Steelers not to win the Super Bowl, just to get there. 10-1 you can get the Steelers at.
Yeah, well, I got them at 13-1. So I already did
You're
all
styling.
this. And I don't respect the sports books at all to begin with. They're the enemy, in case anybody around here hasn't figured that out yet. I know everybody kisses their ass. I don't. I hate them dead, all of them, every one of them. And they're the enemy. That's who we're trying to beat over here. I'm not trying to beat my buddy down the street. I'm trying to beat the hizzy, okay? So when they put out their crappy odds all the time that we put on this show, my intentions are always every day of the week is to beat their crappy odds. Once again, those are crappy odds. They have the Ravens in front of the Steelers. Take a look at the rankings and the standings in the divisions and who's winning games and who isn't. But they have them ahead of the Steelers. So I don't respect their crappy setup with their odds to begin with. All they're trying to do is find suckers. And that's their job, is to fish for suckers. That's what they're doing. They don't give a rat's ass about you. What all of their giving away money. We're giving away all they're doing is sucking the life out of your pants and your wallet and your house. That's all they do. Get a clue, for Christ's sakes. Honestly. I'm dead right, too, and everybody knows it. No one wants to admit it.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on Sports Grid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on Sports Grid.
Fillet Indiana. They would smash them. Honestly.
You listen to yourself speak. That's not a reality question. They have not played each other. You are using hypothetical.
And they got embarrassed.
So many
if
teams
they would have won that football, yes, that's you're
but that's the thing,
correct.
No.
The only argument is Indiana is a decent football team and a product of their environment.
The early line, only on Sports Grid.
He shouldn't need to hire outside help at this point to be able to help him, let alone outside help, Joe, that used to work for him.
Until they get him out of the way, I just don't see how this gets any better. And like you said, who are you picking from? Because most people who know the league want nothing to do with the ownership group there with the Jets.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on Sports Grid.